Wouldn't it be nice to have several thought leaders in your industry know and love your brand? Start a podcast. Invite your industry's thought leaders to be guests on your show and start reaping the benefits of having a network full of industry influencers. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to B2B Growth. I am your host for today's episode, Nikki Ivy with Sweetfish Media. Today, I've got with me Brendan King, co-founder and CEO of Vendasta. Brendan, how you doing today?
Doing fantastic.
Good. I am so glad to have you here today. We're going to be talking about a subject that I'm super nerding out about these days, cloud brokerages and SMB SaaS spend. And you're really going to dig into that for us. But before we get into all that, I would love for you to just give us some background on yourself and what you and the folks at Vendasta have been up to these days.
Sure. We started Vendasta in 2008, but some of the folks that I started Vendasta with, I've actually worked in SaaS software since 1999. We built a Caterpillar's Used Global Trading System, and we built a platform for realtors that we sold to Yardi. And then in 2008, we started Vendasta. So what we really do is we provide a platform to turn anyone who sells SaaS solutions to local businesses. So basically anyone that sells to local business, and everyone's going to be a cloud broker, whether they know it or not, because all software is moving to software as a service, some faster than others. And so we give anyone who has that relationship with SMBs the ability to sell the small business all the products that they need, sell, fulfill, deliver, show proof performance, basically all with their brand and from a curated marketplace of products that we've put together. So that's really what we do.
Exciting stuff. And it kind of relates to obviously the topic that you're going to be speaking about today.
Sure.
First, I just want to hear, what do you see that's a big change or some big changes that are on the horizon for those folks who are B2B leaders and sell to these SMBs?
Well, let me first start with the fact that for a long time, in the last 10 years, enterprises have been moving to SaaS. So they've been, purchasing software as a service solutions directly. So the line of business buyers in those, HR or sales or marketing, and they've been kind of sidestepping, they call it shadow purchasing. They've been kind of sidestepping the CIO or the CTO because they would have a hard time to get things through their own IT departments. So that happened in the enterprise side, and small businesses are doing the same thing. So the problem with small businesses, and they're moving actually 3 times faster to SaaS solutions than enterprise did at the time. And it's going to be a bigger market. I mean, the SMB market in the entire world is about a third of the GDP nationally, globally, and it's about 45% of the sales force. So it's a massive market. So, but as these small businesses transition to software as a service, they've got all kinds of problems. They don't have what the enterprise market had. They don't have a buyer to do an RFP and someone to make sure that it's implemented properly. So there's thousands and thousands of solutions. So they're really, really overwhelmed. And when they do buy stuff, the experience is really fragmented. Like they've got multiple logins, multiple passwords. They've got people that are using a piece of software that have left. They don't even have the login to it. They're paying for solutions they're not even using. So it's a real problem for those SMBs. And so what we found is that they turn to someone they trust. They'd rather have one vendor if they could. And more that vendor is going to become a cloud broker, whether they realize it or not. And so that would be anybody like an agency, a publisher, a yellow page company, maybe a bank, an insurance company, a telco. So depending on the types of problems they have, that's who they'll turn to. So they have an accounting problem, they'll turn to an accountant. A legal problem, to a lawyer. They have an advertising or a marketing problem, likely they turn to, where they've always gotten that. So an agency or a radio company, TV station, newspaper. And so those people are the folks that we're really after today to help out, because they're the folks delivering that trusted service. And so, that's who we're talking about. Cloud brokers.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. It's kind of opening a whole other can of worms in terms of questions that I that I have about it. I never really thought of it that way, but you're right. It's like folks are going to, especially this size businesses, if they're tough to penetrate as a salesperson because of this, sort of tribal nature, right? Where they are doing business with folks that they know. And then if you can't, in the first 10 seconds of a cold call, portray that you know anything about the space, before you even get to their problem, it's going to be tough. So understanding what these cloud brokerages do is important.
Yeah. And I would point out that I think anyone that sells to an SMB will be a cloud broker. And here's why I think that. I mean, think about everything that you do. Think about banking. What is banking really now, but if not for software to track all your transactions and do all the things that you need? People go to an accountant, they really want to be able to see that information and what's happening in their business in a very on-demand way. And that's software as a service. I can't think of anybody that provides a service to a local business that really isn't involved in software. Even if you're doing, plumbing or construction, there still is a component of it that really the best companies are going to be software companies.
For sure. You guys can't see me. I'm because it's a podcast, but I have my camera on, and I bet Brendan can see you making these little faces like he can see the wheels turning.
So you're saying I don't have to worry about people seeing me?
Today's growth story revolves around search engine marketing. Delphix, a big data platform, had hired an agency to manage their Google ads a few years ago, but they weren't seeing the results they wanted to see. Being such a technical B2B solution, they set out to find a team that could take on their challenge. After countless proposals, they found the perfect fit: Directive Consulting, the B2B search marketing agency. In just 1 week after launching Directive's campaigns, Delphix saw their lead volume double and their cost per lead drop by 60%. I have a hunch that Directive can get these kind of results for you too. So head over to directiveconsulting.com and request a totally free custom proposal. That's directiveconsulting.com. All right, let's get back to this interview.
What can a marketer do today to be ready to strike when this market grows?
Really, and that's a great question. That actually leads in perfectly to what we do. And so if you are someone providing those SaaS services to a local business, so you're a telco, you're a bank, you're a media company, or maybe you're just an agency or an SEO company or a small business, marketing, and that's where a bulk of the business is coming from. So they're folks that used to work for a media company. Perhaps they got laid off, or they wanted to do their own thing, and they've taken the 10 car dealerships in their industry, or they've taken the furniture stores, or whatever vertical they're happy with, and they're now trying to service that vertical. So the choices for them are they can try to build their own platform. That's not going to work, and we're signing up people that have big companies said they were going to do that, and they've failed at that because building software is hard. Or you can do what most people do, and that's knit together a bunch of solutions. So the solutions you'd need, first you'd say, well, what products am I going to sell? So you'd have to go and sign deals with all those companies that build those products, get good pricing. Then you'd need to say, well, how am I going to market to my customers? I need some marketing automation thing. Maybe I need a Marketo or an Eloqua or an Infusionsoft or a HubSpot. And then I'd say, well, and I also have to prospect. So maybe I'd need like Buzzboard or Proposify. And then I'd need a CRM. So maybe Pipedrive or Salesforce. And then after that, you sell something. How do you deliver it? You have to have task management, fulfilling. So you're going to have a Monday.com or a Trello or a Basecamp. And then you're going to say, oh, now I've sold it, I've delivered it, I have to bill it. How am I going to bill it? Well, you need a Zuora or a Stripe or a Shopify maybe. And so then after you bill it, you need to actually let the SMB see what you've done for them, do all the reporting, have a place for them to log in. So you're going to need like a TapClicks or an Agency Analytics or a NinjaCat or something to that effect. So that option of knitting those all together is still really hard and takes a long time. It slows down your time to market. You're paying for a bunch of stuff. It reduces your profit. So the solution that we've come up with is we said our stack can do all of that for you. And even down to the, you can sign up to the platform. You can, choose the stuff that you want to sell in your store. You can start marketing to your customers. You have a CRM to take care of that. If you sell something, you can fulfill it, you can deliver it, you can show proof performance, and you can do that in one weekend. So you could be signing up on a Friday, and by Monday, you could be taking revenue in. So that's really what we're trying to do.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Teach us your ways. You sort of laid out what is happening and what you guys are doing. For other leaders in the space, what are some pieces of advice for them if they're saying, seeing what you're seeing as it's sort of this looming business pivot?
Yeah, what we're seeing is with the increased fragmentation and the things that small businesses need to run their business, and with it being a SaaS front, it's really not an option anymore to just deliver a small, narrow vertical on it. So you really can't just be the newspaper ad guy, or you really just can't be the SEO guy. I mean, you can, but if you are, you're going to be in the second layer from the business. There's going to be somebody that business is going to deal with as the expert, and then that guy will bring you in if you're just a thin slice vertical. And so if you do that, you're kind of once removed from your customer, and it's really not a good place to be. So I think it's really important that you be able to provide the complete solution to the local business.
Yeah, I'm certain you just put a lot of folks up on game, as my kids say. And I'm super glad that you came to lay this out for us. So now that I've gotten the chance to pick your brain and get some stuff out of it, I'm so curious as to what you are putting in it. Brendan, what are some of the learning resources, whether it's books you read, podcasts you listen to, even movies you watch, whatever it is that's exciting you and informing your approach these days?
I'm pretty fixated on our business. We're about 270 employees now, and I thought maybe when we had more people that I wouldn't have to work as hard. Nothing's further from the truth. So it's but again, I'll give you some of the books that we've used and I've based my business off of, but It's going to give away my age.
That's okay. I bet we're both a little older than people think. But anyway.
Well, I have 5 kids and my oldest is 28. So let's give you a little bit of background.
I have 4 and my oldest is 19. I know I blew your mind just now. Anyway.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I like Jim Collins from Good to Great. And we use a lot of Jim Collins' principles when we put together our business. So you're going to see that we've got, and I also use what's called the Rockefeller framework. I think that's a really, really easy read and a way to go. Use that Rockefeller framework. But Jim Collins is a good set of principles. And then Patrick Lancioni, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Every business person should read Good to Great and 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. It's really awesome. Then, once you've got those under control, I would say a book that I've read that's really helped me to understand people and how people interact is a book by Daniel Kahneman. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow, and it explains how people perceive things in the world. Really, you have 2 parts of your brain. One is your primal or almost lizard brain, where you just react, the flight or flight part of your body. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when people are confrontational, that part takes over, and then they can't even hear anything anymore. Then the slow part of your brain, the part that makes decisions and is rational, that's cut right off. And so, once you understand how that works, it's a really fantastic book. Our board chair recommended it to me, and I couldn't thank him more. It's a fantastic book, Thinking Fast and Slow.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that one. I'm actually, a couple of the ones that you mentioned, I've heard them mentioned before, and I do the same thing every time. I start jotting them down, and then because I'm so forgetful, I never come back to them. So
I got one more book that you should read, and you'll notice a theme in my books. All of those books set a framework. So I don't like to tell people what to think, but I sure like to, and I like it myself, to be told maybe how to think. Sure. And so I like a real nice framework to be able to execute on whatever you want and measure what matters. It's one of the founding partners at Google. It's a great, great book, and it will give you a framework to use what's called OKRs, objectives and key results. And we use that to drive our company forward, much like Google has used that. So that's the set of books that I would have any entrepreneur or business person to read.
I know a lot of folks are going to want to follow along with your progress and maybe learn more from you. How can folks connect with you, Brendan?
Well, you can connect with me on LinkedIn at and I think it's Brendan King is the LinkedIn whatever /in/ Brendan King, and or Vendasta.com, and check out what we're doing. And if you really want to understand more, we're actually hosting a conference. It's our user conference. It's called conquerlocal.com. So if you go to the website www.conquerlocal.com and you click on the conference, you'll see that we're hosting it then in San Diego. You're welcome to come. If you email me or LinkedIn message me, I'll give you a discount code. And we're going to have some great speakers, including Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, who I've had the fortunate pleasure of meeting. And he's a much nicer guy than he is on Shark Tank. In fact, I think he just does that to get the ratings, but he's fantastic. So we're looking forward to seeing him.
Well, good stuff. Thank you so much, Brendan. I'm going to look forward to seeing what else you guys accomplish and maybe have you on here in the future again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We totally get it. We publish a ton of content on this podcast, and it can be a lot to keep up with. That's why we've started the B2B Growth Big Three, a no-fluff email that boils down our 3 biggest takeaways from an entire week of episodes. Sign up today at sweetfishmedia.com/big3. That's sweetfishmedia.com/big3.